Managing Change with Ronald Allen. We're at the hairpin in our walk, which we typically take most mornings. And the significance, as you can see, that's where we just came from. And this is where we're going to be returning. And the skirmish you heard was over some wild guinea fowl. We have quite a few out here. And the significance of the hairpin and today's topic, what are you communicating through your diet, is what is your intake on a daily basis, not just food. Moreover, what information are you picking up? What information are you selecting to learn and digest and certainly ultimately use in managing your life's changes, managing a project that you're on, managing a team, and certainly managing your own state of mind. We always talk about meaning, and the significance of the hairpin, by the way, in a race, is that it typically signifies the return of the contestants. I have to spin around here. It signifies the return for the race. And it's very interesting that this is, really a three-way hairpin, because out there people live, 2 or 3 homes out there in the woods. And here is a return to where we live. Well, the significance is when you are managing your daily routines, what do you start off with? I typically start off with a thankful or a gratitude of acknowledging that I have another morning. Don't know if I have the whole day, and that is the reality of our lives. And that's no matter what time you were born or raised, it's all about being grateful. The diet that we subscribe to gives us energy, gives us fortitude, allows us to have meaning in our life. It gives us the energy to forge through challenges. On the food spectrum, it cleanses our system. Many of us underestimate the type of food that we eat. We will plan for a weekend out. We will certainly delve into the cheapest and most optimum vacation spots, complementary items, and yet the daily need to sustain and complement our body so that it can return and endure the daily challenges is sometimes relegated to a second, third level of importance. The topic for today, of course, what are you communicating through your diet, goes beyond just the food, which is really the first line, and it also takes into consideration what we physically do for the first 30 minutes, 1 hour when we wake up, and how that can begin to help us manage our daily routines. So it's interesting that when we talk about managing change, it is more than templates. It is more than just beginning to get certification in its various disciplines. And certainly the analyses, return on investment. There's another piece of barometrics, if I can use that term, and it talks about emotional quotient, how people feel about what they do, how people feel about the stage they're in life, and certainly what are their anticipated benefits and engagement down the road. These are not just intangibles, because they can be quantified and measured by the level of engagement that employees have in the workplace. Just as people will say, young people especially, will say, I want to get out and leave a home. Why? Because their emotional need is not being met. Well, interestingly enough, and through studies, we've found the same thing is true and holds true for the work environment. So today's topic, and I kind of keep emphasizing this, is what are you communicating through your diet? How are you better managing by the ingredients that you put in, that the quantity of those ingredients? As you know, across the world, different cultures put emphasis on different aspects of their lives. In many countries in Europe, relaxation, a siesta, vacationing away from work so that they actually work longer hours, usually 6 and 7 o'clock into the evening. In Middle Eastern countries, the need to the behavior of groups. It's interesting that only until social media came along that people started reusing the term tribe, whereas before a tribe was considered primitive, was considered those other people. So our diet begins to construct our very lives and the meaning and the perspective of how we look at our lives. So perhaps we can look back and begin to understand the methodology. Certainly back to diet. When we talk about foods, you know, in India, they have trademarked, I think it's trademarked, the very spices so that the people of India cannot use it in a commercial manner, which is quite barbaric to say the least. You have people who have been using these spices for thousands of years, and communications, managing change through effective communications, goes to the root of how these things come about, and with some daily due diligence, how we can manage ourselves. It's beyond writing an effective email, although that is required when communicating effectively across with and among various stakeholders. Mandated that we recognize people of different sexual orientation. Is it right? Is it wrong? That's a question for you to answer. Society has already answered that. So when we talk about what are you communicating through your diet, understand that your understanding of the world has changed, is being challenged in what is fair, what is inclusionary. Do you feel that a government should be allowed to separate children? And when we throw back the argument they're illegal immigrants, why not come up with a solution? Well, here's mine. Tax those who come in illegally for, let's say, 10 years, because I believe it's 5 years to get immigration when you go through the normal path, which in and of itself is ridiculously long, because the whole point of bringing in legal immigrants is to capture their intellectual capital. Well, the illegal immigrant, and this is studies through HUD, through J.D. Powell, and certainly through the watchdogs on immigrant entrepreneurship. The immigrant, the illegal immigrant, will work twice as hard, twice as long, and do the menial jobs that the average American just won't do. Oh, wow. No. Get that out of your mouth, my friend. Not good, not good. You're going to get sick later on. Okay, we'll give him some diarrhea medicine. Managing change, what a concept. Always have to watch them, they're like children. So with my idea of taxing, what does that produce? Number one, it allows those people to work in the country. Number two, most importantly, it generates revenue for the federal government through its immigration agencies. Each state that immigrants come through, there's obviously a revenue stream and a source that's therefore produced. Then you have, at the county level, all those agencies that will supervise, manage, oversee, and administer the programs. They get part of the action, those revenues. Instead of the law enforcement being seen in the same light as the people in their own respective countries as policing, hostile, unfavorable, the police then can show these immigrants where they can go for work, how they can navigate our culture, our system. It's a win-win-win-win, four-way win for everybody. You raise taxes, everyone loves that, revenue. You allow an illegal to come into the country and create economic opportunity, because that's what they do, both for the employer that they work for and for their own family. The next generation immediately sees that and endears themselves to the American system. Well, how do you create a massive positive change any faster than that? Of course, the communities, instead of running around scared and the perception of illegal immigrants destroying our infrastructure and our social system, the communities then feel endeared to help them. And Americans, by and large, will do that and have been doing that. And of course, the fourth win is that our society is seen globally as one that is humanitarian. America itself could get a Nobel Prize. How ironic.